Is this thing on? Welcome to Rebooted the Podcast. I'm your host, Alita Hernandez. Come join me weekly to hear about my journey from recovery to healing after having a stroke and other life challenges. So let's get talking. Hi, everybody. It's Alita Hernandez. I'm back again. I just want to do a quick special today. Happy 4th. It's July 4th. I'm in the studio today because working every day. We got to keep working because to getting out that message out there to you. So my episode today is STEM and me. So you're probably wondering, what the heck is STEM? Well, I'm going to explain to you what STEM is and a little bit about my background since a lot of people don't know my original background in technology. So STEM is actually an acronym for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So since we have advanced in the last 40 years, the first PC came out in 1982. So it's 41 years ago. That computers started, personal computers. So computers you have on desks. Laptops came much later than that. And so since the evolution of technology and how we have grown so much, now we have a different technology that we've included science, technology, math, and engineering. It's a combination because math is used for everything. And I know a lot of people out there are going, math. I hated math in school. I know most of my friends didn't like math either. I used to love math. I don't know why. I love numbers. I always like numbers. And so that'll go into my story. So I had the opportunity to speak in front of students and faculty at Nova University just the other day, about 10 days ago. And it was for the award ceremony for their STEM students. So they honored about 15, 20 students, if I remember. There was many students. I was amazed. Hispanic students that were honored for their strength in school and their grades. And I'm not sure exactly how they get to the winner. But I met the founder, Mary, and she was amazing. I'm sorry, I got sidetracked. Mary Ellen Brinker. She started the initiative, and it's called the Brinker Initiative, which is a program for Hispanic students in STEM. So if you're studying that and you're in high school and you're really interested in that, this is something that's amazing. They're giving scholarships out to these students to go into any type of engineering, electrical, mechanical, computer science, animation. There's so many opportunities. And what's good about this is that is a field that is going to keep you employed for the rest of your life. So to give you my little speech that I did, I spoke about myself. I spoke about how I was raised in New York City, born to two Puerto Rican parents, both musicians. My mother and my father are both pianists. And I had the opportunity to always be around music. I didn't become a musician for whatever reason, but I have my own other talents. Since then, I did a lot of things with modeling and went to school, went to a model. I was a model agency in DeRose, which is from Puerto Rico. And I studied there and did their course in etiquette and modeling and walking and all these different things back then, doing commercials. I was so nervous. I was a very shy girl, believe it or not, me. I was very shy. It's taken a lot for me to do this, to come out of my shell and just speak and do video and actually see myself on video. It's really surreal. So for a young little girl who grew up in New York City, that grew up only speaking Spanish first. When I learned English when I went to school at 5 years old, went through a lot of backlash due to that with Spanish. During the time in the late 60s and the early 70s, Puerto Ricans were like, what are you? Like, why do you have a little color, but you're not black? They only knew white and black. People were really that colorblind. They couldn't understand anybody else that had a different shade of white or different shade of brown or any other color. So I know I don't want to go into that topic. I know people talk about it now, but if you want to talk about things that I went through as a little girl, let me tell you, I had really curly hair. Now with the color, it loses a lot of the curls, but I have curly hair. And when I was a little girl, at 11 years old, I begged my mother to relax my hair to make it straight because I was so chastised at school. How come your hair's curly, so kinky? And then, yeah, oh, and and calling me names and all these different things. And I didn't know what was going on. I'm like, I was 5, 6 years old. What are you talking about? I'm just a little girl. I don't know. I just want to play with Barbies and live my life. And you're bothering me because my hair's curly or it's different than yours or my color was different. It's just amazing. So I'm happy to talk about this now, 40 years, right? I'm 58 years old and I've gone through that and we've surpassed that because me, as a first generation born in New York City, Latina woman, I stepped up and I went into technology. So I had the opportunity, especially because of my grandfather. My grandfather was the biggest influence that I ever had. My grandfather, Avelino Cáceres, was my mother's father, and he was a super intelligent man. Now, he had no education. He had very little education. Let me just say, not no education, very little. So he went up to only maybe second grade or first grade. He didn't really go to school because he had to work and help his family, feed the family. He had to work. So unfortunately, he didn't go to school. But he always was very handy with his hands. So he was a carpenter. He was a true carpenter. I didn't get to see it. My grandfather built like a dollhouse with all the furniture, everything for my mother and my aunt when they were a little girl. I wish I still had that. I would have kept that. But he was a carpenter. He was an engineer. And he went to correspondence school. So nowadays you talk about online school and you have all these options, right? You can go to any school in the world right now and still be in your house. So back in the day before internet, they had correspondence school. So the school was a curriculum done in writing that you would get the curriculum to your house. You would read the book, whatever book you had, you do your homework, you fill everything in, you seal it, you mail it back to the school that would grade you. And that's how you would get your degree. So my grandfather did that and he became a radio and TV technician by correspondence. He got his certification and he used to fix TVs and radio. So as a little girl, he was home doing this because unfortunately he got emphysema and he wasn't able to work out in the workforce, but he could work from home. So I was with him when I would come from school. We lived with him for a little while. And I used to take apart TVs and radios with him. So that was my beginning of my thrill of working with electronics. So call me a nerd. So I'm like one of the first techies. People don't realize that. I am a techie. I'm a nerd. I actually still play games on my phone when it has to do with numbers and anything like that. I don't know. I have this thing with numbers. So he was my first influence. So with him, we used to do math. So listen how crazy this is. I was an only child, my only mother's child. I have 2 half sisters, but I grew up most of the time alone with my mom and my family. So you have to come up with things to do when you're by yourself. You make up your own games. You have a lot of imagination. At least my generation did, because we didn't have the TV like we have now. We didn't have cable. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have computers. We had one phone in the kitchen, and we lived in the playground, or we were out roller skating or things like that. So I used to go to the thrift stores or rummage sales, I used to call them, and I used to go over there and I used to love books. I used to buy books and I would get math books. So I got a math book. I come home, Grandpa, look at this book. It's an old math book. It's really cool. Let's look at it. So we would spend the afternoon doing calculus. I know people think I'm weird, right? We used to do calculus. We used to do algebra. I used to love algebra. So when I finally got in high school, I didn't like high school. I didn't like studying. I didn't understand I didn't understand a lot of things because I wasn't instructed correctly. That's what I say. But I learned later in life. But I was always very good at math. So I took extra math courses, and I'm going to pause for a second because I need to adjust something. So I'm going to be right back. I'm very sorry. And we'll continue with my math talk. Be right back. I'm back. Sorry about that. It got really warm in here. I had to take my jacket off, and we just continue with our conversation here. So anyway, so talking about math. So yes, I used to do math problems. I was so bored. I used to do math problems. So anyway, with that, I continued. My mother worked at Channel 2 CBS in New York at Black Rock on 56th Street and 6th Avenue. And I had the opportunity, since I pretty much grew up there, since my mother worked there for over 20 years, I used to go visit her all the time, and I used to help her do copies and these big IBM machines that were so heavy. They weighed more than I did. I remember I used to get on a little step ladder and have to push the cover of the copy machine up. It was so heavy. But I used to do copies for her and sorting. I used to do a whole bunch of stuff for her. So she taught me how to work in an office at a young age. And I got the opportunity in 1982 was asked to come in as a work as an intern for the summer at CBS at the MIS department, which is Management Information Systems. Back in the day, we had mainframe computers that were big as a warehouse of computers and computers. Now, the chip that you have on your cell phone, the size of the storage, the gigs you have on your cell phone would have taken out probably this whole that's my whole studio or something, just for that little, for 130 gigs. I mean, it was insane. A 10 megabyte hard drive was like size of a shoebox. Okay, it was so big. So I got the opportunity to work in New York City at CBS, and I learned a lot of things. And I had an incredible mentor. My manager was a woman. Well, my first manager was a man. But when I came back in 1983, after I graduated high school, they offered me a part-time job. I worked at CBS, and we had the first PCs that were at CBS. So I used to spend my day, because I was bored and had nothing to do, is taking apart the PC completely, putting it back together, taking it apart, putting it back together. Like I would do like 10 times to see exactly how everything worked, and function, and make sure it worked all the time. So I learned the ins and outs of computer hardware, and started repairing hardware, computers, and learning from people around me. I just was a sponge learning. And my mentor, I can't remember her last name, but her first name was Madeline. Madeline, I don't know if you're still around. You are much older than I am. If you're still around, I thank you so much for being such a strong woman in this industry. She was like the only woman director at the time, mostly men. I've worked with mostly men all my life. And I am so honored to see other young students out there that are getting into STEM. So I was really honored and surprised by this invite by the Brinker Initiative. And Matthew invited me. He's an awesome person. Matthew, thank you very much. It was an honor to be there. I spoke to some of the girls there. I have some clips I'll show you of, you'll see Mary Ellen Bricker discussing, why she started this. And I have some of the students that were there that were honored, that you'll see also in this podcast. So a lot of other stuff might be just visual. So I'm so sorry for those that can't see it. But I will go through the list of names, and in a little while, I'll go through the list of all the names of the students that I have that were there, it was incredible. It was an incredible night. So I just wanted to continue. So just to finish up on my bio. So after working at CBS in New York, I started the first Introduction to Computers class. And I actually created a manual for it, which I still have. I have to look for it, but I still have that manual 40 years ago. And if you can believe that, my mother was so honored that I did that. I actually taught my mother, because she worked there. I told the president of the company of CBS at the time too, came and took my class, how to use a computer. And here I am, 19 years old, teaching executives at CBS. It was surreal. I didn't know that I had that type of leadership, because honestly, I really didn't have too many other women mentors to tell me, Alita, stay strong, stay steadfast, study technology, do this. I didn't have it. There wasn't anybody really there besides Madeline, but I was still so young. I didn't understand it yet. And I wish I had her like in my 20s to really understand what was going on. After I left CBS, I got laid off. I went to Bear Stearns and Wall Street. That was a challenge. I learned a lot from there too, but I have been in technology since PC started. I went to school. I got my associates when I was younger, and it was data processing. So we used to have to do Cobalt and Fortran programming, but we used to do it on the mainframe. So we'd have to take these cards, these index cards, big index cards, you number your card and you put one line of code on one card. So every line of code had one card. That was your program. You take your whole shoebox full of cards, doesn't matter how many you have, 1,000, whatever, 500, you take it to the computer center. There they have a huge mainframe. They take your box, they put it in the machine, it collates, it prints out all your line of code on this green and white print paper that makes a lot of noise when it prints because it was a dot matrix or laser impact printer, which were very loud at the time. You would have to put these casings around the printers because they were so loud you couldn't talk. It was like like a train going through your office because the printer was so loud to make the quality of ink, the laser printer quality that we have now that takes seconds to print. It used to take a long time to print one page. I'll tell you, when I was in school, I had to do a report and I had a dot matrix printer, right? And it was maybe 10, 15 pages. I had to run the print while I was sleeping. And I'm trying to sleep and I hear, and I bolded it. So it was going twice, on the one line, right? And it took hours for that thing to print. Now, how long does it take you to print 15 pages? Seconds, right? It took me hours. And then you make a mistake, you have to reprint. Oh my goodness. I remember those days. So I've seen a lot in technology. I've always wanted to be a mentor for other ladies and other girls out there because we don't get the credit that we should have. We don't get the credit. I worked in very hostile environments. Since I was a woman in technology, it was very difficult due to the fact that they used to look at me like, you know what you're doing? Don't break a nail. They used to like be all condescending and stuff. And I kept going. I knew what I was good at and I finished school. I went back to school in 2004, went to DeVry University in Miramar, Florida, and I was able to accomplish my bachelor's degree in technical management. My last 3 semesters at school, I was on the dean's list due to that I had a 4.0 average in my GPA and all my technology classes. And I did go to Keller Graduate School for a period of time, but I really was burnt out between personal things going on and my father being sick and just a lot of things. I couldn't do it anymore. I just decided to stop and I didn't get my graduate degree. But you know what? It's okay. It's all good. I've been able to be an IT support specialist. I worked at help desk. I was a network engineer. I was an IT manager. I was an IT project manager. I've done a lot of different things. And till this day, if I need a job, I can just update my resume and get an IT job without a problem because of my experience for the last 40 years in technology that I can still work. Doesn't matter how old I am, I can still fix a computer. I was working part-time for a while to make extra money through a consulting firm. And I used to work at Chase Bank. Most of the Chase banks here in South Florida, I've installed the teller machines. I've installed the platform machines. I've installed printers. I've done full build outs of banks. I've done all the new equipment. I've done everything. Built servers, installed servers. I've installed phones. So just to let you know, I have a really intense background in technology that gives me the ability to come to you through this platform, to come through live, to see you on social media, to be able to I do all my video edits, my graphics. That's just a little bit about me. Maybe you guys didn't know that. Well, now you know. So yes, I'm a nerd, but I'm a fun nerd if everybody knows me because I love music. So, so in turn, I wanted to take technology with music. So I wanted to combine, how do I do something that I love, combine music and dance with technology? So I created a magazine. I created a podcast. I have this beautiful studio behind me with my partner, JC. We rent the studio out and we've really grown and done an amazing thing here. So, excuse me, if you're in South Florida or anywhere in Florida and you come down to Fort Lauderdale, look us up. Studio 33, Fort Lauderdale, and you can come to our studio and you can see my podcast setting, my podcast interview setting here that I have. and also our rental space. So with that, I'm going to let you see a little bit glimpse of the event that I went to with the Brinker Initiative Foundation for Hispanic students. So let me just explain to you a little bit here so I can, excuse me 1 second here. So again, STEM is an acronym for science, technology, engineering, and math. These 4 fields share an emphasis on innovation, problem solving, and critical thinking. And together they make up a popular and fast-growing industry. So it's a huge industry right now, especially with AI is entwined with the STEM. And since the Hispanic population is growing so much, we're the minority. We're going to be the largest minority group in the world, pretty much by 2030. So in STEM, in this Brinker Initiative, which I'm going to share with you right now, and I apologize because I got several screens up here. And here is Mary. So Brinker Education Brinker Education Initiative for Hispanic students in STEM. So Mary started this, Mary Ellen Brinker. She started the foundation to help other Hispanic students. So I'm just going to read a little bit of a couple of things she's quoted in some other articles that she's done online, and you can look this up on her website as well. But let me just read a little bit of what Mary has said here, and then you'll see her in her video here. So the Brinker Initiative Education for Hispanics started in 2015 as a project by Harry and Mary Ellen Brinker Foundation. They were dedicated to proliferating science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM, in the Hispanic immigrant community through scholarships and events, as well as grassroots advocates and broadcast media. So they have partnered and they really want to help the Hispanic community to continue with technology, to bring bring this to the community and give them opportunities that maybe they didn't have. Some parents don't have the means. It's very expensive to go to school, very, very expensive. So they wanted to help parents for their children to follow their dreams without any problems, that they can go. She is really loves the Hispanic community and really has been awarding scholarships, so many scholarships to people. Is amazing. It's really incredible. So let's see what Mary has to say. So just stay tuned for 1 second here, and Mary will be talking.
I wonder, why did you start this foundation, right? Well, let me tell you, my husband was an electrical engineer, and I had a Bachelor of Science, and I was the 5th woman to be hired for pharmaceutical sales in the United States. So we both really were in STEM degrees and had STEM educations. We wanted, with the money that we accrued, wanted to give it to a good program, and since the Hispanics are going to be leading our country in the very near future, we want to make sure that you are well educated in STEM and you will be able to provide for your families and also for our nation. And don't forget, you'll be making a lot of money one day. And you also not just contribute to the family and the nation, but you also should give back to the country in some philanthropy movement. I do U for STEM, and don't forget the Brinker Education Initiative. It's a good one, and you can always remember us when you're making tons of money. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to make this kind of short because we have some very interesting speakers. And I first want to introduce you to Katie Gilliland. She's down there. Most of you have seen her working on this PDF. And she is in charge of the STEM initiative here at NSU.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, everyone. And I'm going to be studying neuroscience and behavior. The reason I chose it is actually I read this book called The Female Brain, and it made me intrigued in the field. And I also had a pet parakeet who passed away recently, but I realized they don't have a lot of research done on parakeet brains, so I'm hoping to study them in the future.
All right, so my name is Antonio. I'm currently a freshman in Florida International University. My major is biological sciences, and I want to become a surgeon. It's been my dream since I was a little kid. And yeah, I think that effort and hard work will make my path straight into med school, and I believe that I will make it. Yeah.
No, of course. Okay, Angela, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you picked the major you did.
Hi, my name is Angelina Pozo Marino. I graduated from Millennium Collegiate Academy, and I had the opportunity of graduating high school with my associate's degree. So when I go to college, I'll be going to college as a junior, which is awesome. So I saved money for my associate's degree, and it was really awesome to go to Broward College for my 4 years of high school as a freshman and sophomore in college. I was able to have, okay, so a little bit about me is, see, I told you, like, you're gonna have to tell me when to stop because I talk a lot. So a little bit about me is I never thought I would fall into the category of being a STEM major. Whenever people talked about being a STEM major, I was like, that's not me, I'm an art major. I'm majoring in animation and technology, and I'm also doing a doubling major in business management. So my sister's doing a medical degree, and so we would always joke, and I was like, I'm not a STEM major. And then I found out that animation falls into the category of technology, because really technology is everywhere. So I'm going to the University of Central Florida, UCF, and one of my goals, well, I have a lot of goals, but one of my major goals is to rise to even get my PhD in both like management and even animation and visual effects. Because I remember when I was in my sophomore year of high school and I was talking to my college advisor for advice on what I needed to do for animation, they were like, oh, sorry, we can't really help you. There's not much we know about animation. And they were like, you're gonna have to do your own research. I was like, oh, okay, cool. If I was any less motivated, I probably wouldn't be here today. But I'm very ambitious, so I went after it and I figured out what I needed to do to get my animation degree. And I feel like one of the things that I really want to do is to help a lot of young creatives and creators who want to pursue art and technology to be able to go after that. So I want to get my business management in order to open my own animation studio in the future and mentor young animators and artists.
Well, everybody, once again, welcome. Thank you for coming today. Congratulations to all the students on graduating from high school. Congratulations on getting into college, and congratulations on the scholarship that you have won today. Matthew told me that I needed to do a 15-minute speech, and just be careful what you wish for, okay? So I was thinking about what did I want to share with all of you today, and as I was thinking about this, I was listening to the news the other day, and this report came out stating that the level of reading and math for 13-year-olds in this country is at a record low. Since 1990, it has never been this low. That is alarming, because I wondered, in 4 years, when these 13-year-olds are graduating high school, are we going to be here? Are we going to have a room full of students that have excelled in science, technology, engineering, and math, and are going to be the future? I worry about that. But all of you here, well, most of you, okay, the new ones, okay, the newbies, when you were freshmen in high school, that's when the pandemic hit. And they're blaming the pandemic for these low levels, okay? But you were freshmen, halfway through the year, you had to go home, but you made it, okay? You made it. So hopefully there is hope for our 13-year-olds. But that was worrisome to me, because we need to do something to help them. The pandemic gets blamed for a lot of things. We had approximately 20 million jobs that were lost because of the pandemic. But here's some good news of the pandemic. Out of all the jobs that were lost, the ones that had like the lowest level of unemployment were STEM-related careers. Okay, so this is a good thing, that this is what you're all going to study. The number of jobs in STEM over the next 10 years is going to continue to increase dramatically. And yet we don't have enough students that are studying. I see my NOVA employee back there, she's going, that's right, we don't have enough students that are studying in this area. For every person who is looking to be hired in some type of STEM-related job, there's 2 job openings. So basically 50% of the STEM jobs that are out there, they're struggling to fill these. Now this is great news for our students here. We need to get you out of college. We need to get you in there. We need you to study this material. We need you to graduate, and the jobs are waiting. They're waiting for you. Well, everybody, once again, welcome. Thank you for coming today. Congratulations to all the students on graduating from high school. Congratulations on getting into college, and congratulations on the scholarship that you have won today. Matthew told me that I needed to do a 15-minute speech, and just be careful what you wish for, okay? So I was thinking about what did I want to share with all of you today, and as I was thinking about this, I was listening to the news the other day, and this report came out stating that the level of reading and math for 13-year-olds in this country is at a record low. Since 1990, it has never been this low. That is alarming, because I wondered, in 4 years, when these 13-year-olds are graduating high school, are we going to be here? Are we going to have a room full of students that have excelled in science, technology, engineering, and math, and are going to be the future? I worry about that. But all of you here,
Thank you for joining us today. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Rebooted the Podcast to learn about each episode's guests and topics. This is your host, Alita Hernandez. See you next Tuesday.